Ho was eating his lunch when they came for him. He sat alone in the small kitchen of the cargo ship, a bowl of instant noodles in front of him. The ship was old and the food was cheap, but Ho did not mind. He had worked as a cargo pilot for 6 years now. He moved supplies between human colonies and sometimes traded with alien stations. It was quiet work, simple work. He liked it that way. The door to the kitchen opened with a loud bang. Ho dropped his chopsticks and turned around. 3 tall figures stood in the doorway. They were soldiers. Ho had seen before, but never this close. They were tall, almost 8 feet high. Their skin was pale blue, smooth like stone. They had 4 arms and eyes that glowed soft white. They wore armor made of some dark metal that seemed to eat the light around it. They were the rulers of this part of the galaxy. Their empire was old, very old. Humans had only been traveling between stars for 200 years. They had been doing it for 10,000. They controlled 1,000 worlds and had ships that could destroy planets. Humans were like ants compared to them. "You are the one called Ho?" the lead soldier asked. His voice was deep and cold. Ho stood up slowly. His heart was beating fast. "Yes, that is me. Is there a problem? I have all my trading permits. Everything is legal." The soldier did not answer. He simply pointed at Ho with one of his 4 arms. "You will come with us." It was not a request. Ho thought about running, but where would he go? His ship was small and slow. Their ship was probably waiting right outside, and even if he could run, what then? No one escaped no one. "Can I at least know why?" Ho asked. "The Queen has summoned you," the soldier said. Ho felt his blood go cold. The Queen. She had ruled the Empire for over 300 years. Some said she was the most powerful being in the known galaxy, and she wanted to see him, a simple cargo pilot from Earth. This had to be a mistake. "There must be some error," Ho said. "I am nobody. I just move boxes from one place to another. Why would the Queen want to see me?" The soldier stepped forward. He was so tall that Ho had to look up to see his face. "We do not question the Queen. We obey. You will come now." 2 of the soldiers grabbed Ho by his arms. Their grip was strong, like metal clamps. They lifted him off his feet and carried him out of the kitchen like he weighed nothing. They took him through the halls of his own ship. Ho saw his crew members watching with wide eyes. His co-pilot, a young woman named Min, stepped forward like she wanted to help, but one look from the soldiers stopped her. "It will be okay," Ho called out to her. He did not believe his own words. The ship was waiting outside, connected to his cargo vessel by a metal tube. It was big and dark, shaped like a knife. Inside, everything was clean and cold. The walls were made of the same dark metal as their armor. There were no windows. They put Ho in a small room and left him there. He sat on a hard bench and tried to think. Why would the Queen want him? He had done nothing wrong. He had never even been to a world. He was just a regular human trying to make a living. Hours passed, maybe days. Ho could not tell. There was no clock in the room, no way to know how much time had gone by. He was given water and some kind of food that tasted like nothing. He slept on the hard bench when he could not stay awake anymore. Finally, the door opened. The soldiers were back. "It is time," one of them said. They led Ho through long hallways. They passed doors and rooms filled with strange machines. They passed others who stopped and stared at him. He heard them whispering to each other. He could not understand their language, but he knew they were talking about him, a human in the Imperial ship. It had probably never happened before. They came to a huge door. It was at least 30 feet tall, made of gold and covered with symbols Ho did not understand. 2 guards stood on each side. They wore different armor, white and silver, royal guards. The doors opened slowly. Ho was pushed forward. The room beyond was bigger than anything Ho had ever seen. It was like a cathedral, but 10 times larger. The ceiling was so high he could barely see it. Pillars of white stone held up the roof. The floor was made of polished crystal that reflected everything like a mirror. And at the far end of the room, on a throne made of light itself, sat the queen. She was old, that was the first thing Ho noticed. Her skin was darker blue than the soldiers, almost purple. Lines covered her face like cracks in old paper, but her eyes were bright, so bright. They glowed like small suns, and when they looked at Ho, he felt like she could see everything about him, every thought, every secret, every fear. Ho walked forward. His legs felt weak. The room was silent except for his footsteps on the crystal floor. There were others in the room, standing along the walls, nobles and advisors probably. They all watched him with cold curiosity. He stopped about 20 feet from the throne. He did not know if he should bow or kneel or do something else. He had no idea what the proper behavior was, so he just stood there, trying not to shake. The queen looked at him for a long time. Her 4 hands rested on the arms of her throne. Rings covered her fingers, each one probably worth more than Ho would earn in 100 lifetimes. "Leave us," the queen said. Her voice was soft but strong. It filled the entire room without effort. The nobles and guards looked at each other with surprise. "My queen," one of the advisors said, "is it wise to be alone with the human? They are known to be unpredictable and—" I said, "Leave us." This time her voice was not soft. It was like thunder. The advisor bowed quickly and backed away. Within moments the huge room was empty. Only Ho and the queen remained. She stood up from her throne. She was tall, even for a. She walked down the steps toward Ho, moving slowly. She looked tired, he realized. Not physically tired, but something deeper. The tiredness of someone who had carried a heavy weight for too long. She stopped in front of him. She was so close he could see the tiny patterns in her skin, like frost on a window. "You are afraid," she said. It was not a question. Ho swallowed hard. "Yes." "Good, fear shows you are smart. Only fools feel no fear." She tilted her head, studying him. "Do you know why I brought you here, human?" "No, your majesty. I am just a cargo pilot. I do not understand why someone like you would want to see someone like me." The queen was quiet for a moment. Then she did something Ho did not expect. She laughed. It was a small laugh, soft and sad. "Someone like me," she repeated. "You mean a queen, a ruler of 1,000 worlds, a being who has lived for 400 years and seen empires rise and fall?" Ho nodded, "Yes." "Then let me tell you something, little human. All my power, all my ships, all my armies, they mean nothing now, because there is something I cannot do, something no can do, and I have heard that humans can." She turned and walked back toward her throne, but she did not sit down. She just stood there looking at the light. "My daughter is dying," she said quietly. "Not her body, her spirit, and I need you to save her." Ho stared at her. He must have heard wrong. "Your Majesty, I do not understand. How can I save anyone? I am not a doctor. I am not a healer. I am nothing." The queen turned back to face him. Her bright eyes were wet now, shining with something that looked like tears. "You are human," she said. "That is exactly what I need." Ho did not know what to say. He stood there in the great throne room, looking at the most powerful being in the galaxy, and he had no words. "I can see you are confused," the queen said. She walked slowly around the room, her long robes trailing behind her like water. "Let me explain. Please sit." She waved one of her hands, and a chair rose up from the crystal floor. It was sized for a human, not a. She had planned this. She had known a human would be standing here. Ho sat down. His legs were thankful for the rest. The queen remained standing. She looked out through a tall window at the stars beyond. "My daughter is called. In your language, it would mean something like flower. She is my only child, the only heir to the throne." "What happened to her?" Ho asked carefully. The queen was silent for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was heavy with pain. "Had a bonded companion. In culture, this is more than a friend, more than family. It is someone whose soul is connected to yours. They were together since childhood. His name was. He died 3 months ago. There was a battle at the edge of our territory. Pirates from the outer systems attacked one of our mining stations, led the defense. He saved many lives, but he lost his own. Ho understood now, and your daughter cannot accept his death. The queen nodded slowly. When a loses their bonded companion, it is like losing half of yourself. The pain is beyond what words can describe. Most who suffer this loss eventually recover. It takes time, sometimes years, but they heal. She turned to face Ho. Her bright eyes were filled with worry. Is not healing, she is getting worse. She has stopped eating, she barely sleeps. She does not speak anymore. The light in her eyes is fading. Our doctors have tried everything. Our priests have performed every ritual. Nothing works. And what do you think I can do? Ho asked. I am sorry for your daughter, truly I am, but I am just a normal person. I have no special powers. I do not know any magic. The queen smiled, but it was a sad smile. You do not understand your own species, do you? Let me tell you what I know about humans. She began to walk around the room again. We are ancient. We have studied every species in the galaxy. We know their strengths and weaknesses. We know what makes them different from us. And humans, you strange little creatures from that small blue planet, you have something that no other species has. What is that? The ability to heal broken hearts. Ho shook his head. I do not understand. The queen stopped walking. She stood in front of him, looking down with those ancient eyes. Feel emotions, but we feel them differently than humans. When we are happy, we are happy. When we are sad, but we do not know how to move from one to the other. We do not know how to take pain and turn it into something else. When grief comes, it stays. It does not change. She placed one of her hands on her chest, over where her heart would be. Humans are different. You feel pain just like we do, maybe even more deeply, but you also have something we do not. You call it hope. You call it healing. You have songs that make you cry and then make you smile. You have stories about loss that somehow make you feel better. You have ways of turning darkness into light. Ho thought about this. He had never considered it before. It was just how humans were. When someone died, you mourned, you cried, and then slowly you remembered the good times. You talked about them with others. You kept their memory alive in a way that brought comfort instead of pain. We do not have this ability, the queen continued. We never developed it. For most, grief fades on its own given enough time. But for some, especially those who have lost a bonded companion, the grief becomes a poison. It eats them from inside. It does not fade. It only grows stronger. And you think I can teach your daughter how to heal? I do not know, the queen admitted. But I have tried everything else. I have offered her wealth, power, distraction. I have brought the greatest entertainers in the empire to perform for her. I have taken her to the most beautiful worlds. Nothing reaches her. She is locked inside her grief like a prisoner in a cage. She knelt down so that her eyes were level with Ho's. It was a strange sight, the ruler of 1,000 worlds kneeling before a simple cargo pilot. I have heard stories about humans, she said softly. Stories about how you comfort each other in times of loss, how you hold each other and cry together, how you share memories of the dead and somehow find peace. I need someone to do this for my daughter. I need someone to show her that grief does not have to be the end. Ho felt the weight of her words. This was not what he had expected. He had thought he was being arrested. He had thought he was going to die. Instead, a mother was asking him to save her child. Why me? He asked. There are millions of humans. Why did you choose me specifically? The queen stood up again. I did not choose you specifically. I asked my people to find a human, any human who was kind, who was patient, who had known loss themselves and survived it. Your name came up. Ho felt a cold shiver run down his back. How did you know about my loss? We studied you, your records, your history, your communications. The queen's voice was matter of fact, not apologetic. I know that you lost your parents when you were young. I know that you lost your wife to illness 3 years ago. I know that you carry grief inside you every day, but you still smile, you still work, you still live." Ho closed his eyes. The memories came flooding back. His mother's laugh, his father's strong hands, his wife dancing in the kitchen on their wedding anniversary, all of them gone now, all of them just memories. "You survived your grief," the queen said. "That is what I need you to teach my daughter, how to survive." Ho opened his eyes. He looked at the queen, this ancient, powerful being who had probably ordered the deaths of millions, and he saw something he never expected to see. He saw a mother, terrified of losing her child. "I will try," he said. "I cannot promise anything, but I will try." The queen's eyes lit up with something that looked like hope. "That is all I ask. Come, I will take you to her." They left the throne room and walked through more hallways. These ones were different, softer, warmer. The walls were painted with pictures of stars and planets. The floors were covered with thick carpets. "This is the family area," the queen explained. "Only I and my daughter live here now. My husband died long ago." They stopped in front of a simple door. It was not grand or decorated, just a plain door. "She is inside," the queen said. "She has not left that room in 2 months. The servants bring her food, but she barely touches it." "What should I say to her?" The queen shook her head. "I do not know, that is why I need you. Say whatever a human would say. Do whatever a human would do. I will leave you alone with her." She started to walk away, then stopped. "One more thing. Do not expect her to respond. Do not expect her to even look at you. She has not spoken to anyone since died. Just be there, be human." And then she was gone. Ho stood alone in front of the door. Behind it was a princess, an alien princess who had lost the person she loved most in the world, and he was supposed to save her with nothing but his humanity. He took a deep breath and opened the door. The room was dark. Heavy curtains covered the windows, blocking out all light. The only glow came from small crystals in the ceiling that gave off a faint blue light. In the center of the room was a bed, and on the bed was a figure. Princess was smaller than Ho expected. She was young, maybe equal to a human in their early 20s. Her skin was light blue, lighter than the soldiers, almost white. Her eyes were closed. She lay on her side, facing the wall, completely still. Ho walked into the room and sat down on the floor, a few feet from her bed. He did not say anything. He just sat there in the darkness, keeping her company. He would be human for her. It was all he knew how to be. Ho came back every day. The first day he just sat in the darkness. He did not speak. He did not move. He simply existed in the same room as the princess. She never acknowledged him. She lay on her bed, facing the wall, as still as stone. The second day he brought a small light. Not bright, just a tiny glow from a handheld device. He set it on the floor next to him. The room was still mostly dark, but now there was a small point of warmth in the shadows. The third day he started talking. "I do not know if you can hear me," he said softly. "I do not even know if you understand my language, but I am going to talk anyway. Talking helps me. Maybe it will help you too." He talked about his ship. He talked about the cargo routes he traveled. He talked about the stars he had seen and the planets he had visited. Nothing important, just words to fill the silence. The princess did not respond, but she also did not tell him to leave. Days turned into weeks. Ho kept coming. He would sit in the room for hours, talking about anything and everything. He told her about Earth, the blue oceans, the green forests, the cities full of people. He told her about human food, human music, human games. Sometimes he just sat in silence. He learned that silence was okay too. Sometimes the best thing you could do for someone who was hurting was to simply be there, not talking, not trying to fix things, just being present. The servants were confused by him. They whispered to each other when he passed in the hallways. A human coming to the princess's room every day. It was strange, unheard of, but the queen had ordered it so no one stopped him. On the 15th day, something changed. Ho was telling a story about his childhood. He was talking about his mother, how she used to sing while she cooked, how her voice would fill their small apartment like sunshine. She died when I was 12, Ho said. A sickness took her. My father could not afford the treatment. In those days, humans did not have the medical technology we have now. He paused. Even after all these years, the memory still hurt. I was angry for a long time, angry at the world, angry at myself for not being able to save her. I thought the pain would never go away. I thought I would feel that darkness forever. He heard a sound, a small sound, so quiet he almost missed it. He looked up. The princess had moved. She was still facing the wall, but her body had shifted slightly. She was listening. Ho's heart jumped. He continued carefully. But then, years later, I realized something. The pain did not go away completely. It is still there even now, but it changed. It became smaller, softer, and mixed with the pain there were other things too. Happy memories, the sound of her laugh, the smell of her cooking, the way she hugged me when I was scared. He swallowed hard. I learned that grief is not just about losing someone, it is also about keeping them. They live on inside us, in our memories, in the things they taught us, in the love they gave us. Death cannot take that away. The room was silent for a long moment. Then slowly, the princess turned her head. Not all the way, just enough that Ho could see the side of her face. Her eye, glowing faintly in the dim light, looked at him. It was the first time she had looked at him. "More," she whispered. Her voice was rough from weeks of not speaking, but it was there. Ho felt tears forming in his eyes. "You want me to tell you more?" She did not answer, but she did not look away either. So Ho kept talking. He told her about his father, who died 5 years after his mother. He told her about his wife, who he met on a space station when he was 25. He told her about their life together, the small apartment they shared, the dreams they had, the plans they made for the future. "She got sick too," Ho said. "A rare disease. The doctors said they could not help her. I had 6 months with her after the diagnosis. 6 months to say goodbye." The princess had turned more now. She was lying on her back, staring at the ceiling, but her head was tilted toward Ho. "How did you survive?" she asked. Her voice was still weak, but it was clearer now. "How did you not break?" Ho thought about the question. It was a good question. He had asked himself the same thing many times. "I did break," he admitted. "For a while I was just like you. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I did not want to do anything. I wanted to disappear." "What changed?" "Time," Ho said. "And something else. Something that humans do. We tell stories." The princess looked confused. "Stories?" "Yes, stories about the people we lost. We share them with others. We talk about the funny things they did, the kind things, the stupid things. We laugh and we cry sometimes at the same time. And slowly the person stops being just a source of pain. They become something else, a beautiful memory, a part of who we are." He leaned forward slightly. "You had someone too, someone you lost. Tell me about him." The princess's eyes widened. For a moment Ho thought she would turn away again, but she did not. She whispered. Just saying his name seemed to cause her pain. "What was he like?" She was quiet for so long that Ho thought she would not answer. Then, slowly, she began to speak. "He was annoying," she said. "So annoying. He never followed the rules. He made jokes when he was supposed to be serious. He got in trouble all the time." Ho smiled. "He sounds interesting." He was. A tiny flicker of light appeared in her eyes, something that had not been there before. "One time when we were children, he stole a flying vehicle from the palace guards. He wanted to take me to see the crystal caves on the moon. We got caught before we even left the planet. My mother was so angry." "What did she do?" "She wanted to punish him severely, but I begged her not to. I told her it was my idea even though it was not. The princess paused. Was always trying to show me new things. He said I was too serious, that I needed to have more fun. He sounds like a good friend. He was more than a friend. The princess's voice cracked. He was everything. When I was with him, I felt complete. And now he is gone and I am just empty. Ho nodded. He understood that feeling perfectly. The emptiness is real, he said. I will not lie to you and say it goes away completely. It does not, but it changes. It becomes a space where good memories can live. Right now, that space is filled with pain. But one day, if you let it, it can be filled with gratitude instead. Gratitude for the time you had together. Gratitude for the joy he brought into your life. The princess stared at him. Her glowing eyes were wet. How do I get to that day? It feels so far away. One moment at a time, Ho said. You talk. You remember. You let yourself feel the pain instead of running from it. And slowly, very slowly, the pain becomes something you can carry instead of something that crushes you. He stood up and walked to the window. He pulled back the curtain just a little, letting in a thin beam of light. The princess flinched, but she did not look away. Would not want you to die in this dark room, Ho said softly. If he loved you the way you loved him, he would want you to live, to have adventures, to see the crystal caves and 1,000 other wonders. That is how you honor him, not by joining him in death, but by living the life he would have wanted for you. The princess was crying now, real tears falling down her blue cheeks, but they were not just tears of sadness. There was something else in them, something that looked almost like relief. Will you keep coming back? She asked. Will you keep talking to me? Every day, Ho promised, until you do not need me anymore. And then, if you want, I will tell you about all the beautiful places in the galaxy that you should visit, places that would make even jealous. For the first time in 3 months, Princess smiled. It was small, it was fragile, but it was there. And in that moment, Ho knew that she was going to be okay. The curtains were open now. Light poured into the princess's room for the first time in months. It was not much, just the soft glow of distant stars through the window, but it was enough. The darkness that had lived in that room was slowly retreating. Ho sat in his usual spot on the floor, but today something was different. Princess was not lying in bed. She was sitting up, her legs hanging over the edge, her feet touching the ground. I ate this morning, she said. The servants almost fainted when I asked for food. Ho laughed. That is good, very good. What did you eat? Something called it is purple and tastes like. I do not know how to describe it. Sweet but also sour. She paused. Loved, he would eat them until his fingers turned purple. Ho noticed how she said's name. It still hurt her, he could see that. But it did not destroy her like before. She could say his name and keep talking. That was progress. Tell me another story about him, Ho said. Thought for a moment. One time we were supposed to attend a very important ceremony. All the noble families were there. My mother was giving a speech. It was very serious. Let me guess, did something not serious? Almost smiled. He brought a small animal, a pet from one of the outer colonies. He had hidden it in his robes. In the middle of my mother's speech, the animal escaped. It ran across the hall, knocking over food and drinks. Everyone was screaming and chasing it. What did the queen do? She was furious, absolutely furious. But later that night, I heard her laughing about it with my father. She said it was the most entertaining ceremony in 100 years. Ho grinned. Sounds like someone I would have liked. You would have, said. Her voice was soft but certain. He would have been fascinated by humans. He was always curious about other species. He thought the focus too much on ourselves and not enough on learning from others. He was wise. He looked down at her hands. I spent so long being angry at the universe for taking him, angry at myself for not being there when he died. But now I think he would be angry at me if he saw me like this, hiding in the dark, giving up. What do you think he would want you to do? Was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up, and there was something new in her eyes, something that looked like determination. "He would want me to live," she said. "Really live, not just exist." Ho nodded. "Then let us start with small steps. Today we walk." He stood up and held out his hand, looked at it with uncertainty. Physical contact was not common among. They were a reserved people, but Ho had learned that sometimes touch could say what words could not. Slowly reached out and took his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth like polished stone, but underneath he could feel a faint warmth, life. She stood up. Her legs were weak from weeks of lying in bed. She stumbled and Ho caught her. "Easy," he said. "We are not running a race, just one step at a time." They walked around the room, just a few steps at first, then more. His legs grew stronger with each lap. By the time they finished, she was breathing hard but standing on her own. "That was difficult," she admitted. "Everything is difficult at first, but it gets easier. That is another thing about grief. The first day is the hardest. The second day is a little less hard, and slowly, day by day, it becomes something you can live with." Over the next few weeks, Ho introduced to human customs. He taught her about music, how humans used sound and rhythm to express emotions that words could not capture. He showed her recordings of songs from Earth. Some were happy, some were sad. Some made her laugh, some made her cry. "This is strange," she said one day, tears streaming down her face while listening to a slow, mournful song. "I am crying, but I do not feel worse. I feel lighter." "That is what music does," Ho explained. "It gives your feelings a place to go. You let them out through the tears, and then there is more room inside for other things." He taught her about human stories too. He told her tales of heroes who faced impossible odds, of lovers separated by time and distance, of people who lost everything and found a reason to keep going. He told her about a woman named who lost her husband in a war but raised their children alone and built a school for other orphans. He told her about a man named Sung who lost his sight but became one of the greatest musicians Earth had ever known. "Humans are remarkable," said one evening. "You face so much pain, so much loss, but you keep going. How?" Ho thought about it. "I think it is because we know that life is short. We only get a few decades, a heartbeat compared to the... So we learn early that we cannot waste time being consumed by darkness. We must find the light wherever we can, and when we cannot find it, we make it ourselves." Was standing by the window now. She had not left her room yet, but she spent hours looking out at the stars. "Tell me about the crystal caves," she said suddenly. "What?" "The crystal caves on the moon. Where wanted to take me. I have never been there. What are they like?" Ho shook his head. "I have never been there either, but I hear they are beautiful. The crystals glow in 1,000 different colors, and when you walk through them, it is like walking through a rainbow that never ends." Was quiet for a moment. Then she made a decision. Ho could see it in the way her shoulders straightened, the way her chin lifted. "I want to go there," she said. "I want to see them for..." "Then you will." She turned to face him. "Will you come with me?" Ho was surprised. "Me? I am just a cargo pilot. I do not belong in places like that." "You are my friend," said simply. "The first real friend I have had since died. You pulled me out of the darkness. You taught me that grief does not have to be the end. I want you to see the caves with me. I want to share something beautiful with you, the way you shared your stories with me." Ho felt his throat tighten. He had never expected this. He had come here thinking he was going to die, and instead he had found something rare. A connection. A friendship that crossed the vast gulf between their species. "I would be honored," he said. The door to the room opened. They both turned to see the Queen standing there. She had not visited since that first day. But now she stood in the doorway, her ancient eyes taking in everything. Her daughter standing by the window, the open curtains, the light in the room. And she saw something else too. She saw his face. The color had returned to her skin. Her eyes were bright again. She was thin and weak, but she was alive, truly alive. Mother said. The queen walked forward slowly. She stopped in front of her daughter and studied her face. Then, without warning, she pulled into an embrace. Her 4 arms wrapped around her daughter, holding her tightly. "My child," the queen whispered, "you have come back to me." "I am sorry," said, her voice muffled against her mother's shoulder. "I am sorry I scared you." "Do not apologize, you were hurting, I understand." The queen pulled back and looked at Ho. Her eyes were wet with tears. "You did this. You brought her back." Ho shook his head. "I did not do anything, she did all the work, I just talked." "You did more than talk." The queen's voice was thick with emotion. "You gave her something our entire empire could not. You gave her hope. You gave her a reason to keep living." She released and walked toward Ho. She was so much taller than him that she had to look down to meet his eyes. But in that moment, there was no difference in power between them. There was only gratitude. "Thank you," the queen said. "From the bottom of my heart, thank you." Ho bowed his head. "She is strong. She would have found her way back eventually." "Perhaps, but you showed her the path." The queen smiled, something Ho had never seen her do before. "I am in your debt, little human. Whatever you want, it is yours. Name it and it will be done." Ho looked at who was watching him with curious eyes. He thought about everything that had happened, everything he had learned in this strange place among these ancient people. "I would like some time to think about it," he said, "if that is okay." The queen nodded. "Take all the time you need. You will always be welcome here." And for the first time since he was dragged from his cargo ship, Ho felt like he truly belonged somewhere. The crystal caves were more beautiful than Ho could have imagined. He stood at the entrance, his breath caught in his chest. All around him, crystals rose from the ground like frozen flames. They were every color he could name and many he could not. Blue and purple and gold and green, all glowing with soft inner light. The walls sparkled like a sky full of stars brought down to earth. "Was right," said softly beside him. "This is worth seeing." 2 months had passed since had left her dark room. 2 months of healing, of growing stronger, of learning to live again. She was different now. Still sad sometimes, grief did not disappear overnight, but no longer broken. She laughed again. She ate again. She looked forward to each new day instead of dreading it. They walked deeper into the caves. The crystals sang as they passed, a soft, humming sound that came from the vibrations of their footsteps. It was like the cave itself was alive, welcoming them. "Thank you for bringing me here," said. "I should have come years ago. Always wanted us to explore this place together." "You are exploring it with him," Ho replied. "In a way, you are carrying his memory with you. Wherever you go, he goes too." Smiled. It was still a rare sight, but Ho had learned to treasure each one. "You humans have a beautiful way of looking at death. It is not the end for you, it is just a change. We have to see it that way. Our lives are so short. If we believed that death was the absolute end, we would never be able to move forward. We would spend our whole lives being afraid." They found a large chamber deep in the caves. The ceiling was covered with crystals that glowed like a sunset, orange and pink and soft red. In the center of the chamber was a still pool of water, so clear that it reflected the crystals perfectly. Sat down beside the pool. She looked at her reflection in the water, her blue skin, her glowing eyes, the face that had finally regained its life. "I have been thinking," she said, "about what you taught me, about how humans deal with loss, and I realized something." "What is that?" "We have always believed that we are the most advanced species in the galaxy. We have the oldest civilization, the greatest technology, the largest empire. We look at younger species like humans and see them as less, inferior, but we are wrong." She looked at Ho. "You have something we do not, something that cannot be measured or conquered. You have the ability to face the darkness and find light within it. You have hearts that break and then mend themselves, stronger than before. That is not weakness. That is the greatest strength in the universe. Ho sat down beside her. The crystals around them pulsed gently as if listening. Humans are not perfect. We have our own problems. Wars, hatred, cruelty. We are not always good. No species is always good, but you try to be better. You learn from your pain. You grow. Reached out and touched the water, sending ripples across the surface. I want my people to learn this. I want to share what you taught me with all of. That is a big goal. I am going to be queen someday. When that day comes, I want to change things. I want humans and to work together, learn from each other. We have lived in separate worlds for too long. Ho felt his heart swell with pride. This was not the same broken princess he had met in that dark room. This was a leader, someone who had walked through fire and come out stronger. They spent hours in the crystal caves, exploring every chamber, finding new wonders around every corner. Told more stories about funny ones, sweet ones, ones that made them both laugh until their sides hurt. She cried too sometimes, but the tears were different now. They were part of healing, not drowning. When they finally returned to the palace, the queen was waiting for them. She stood in the great entrance hall, surrounded by advisors and guards. But her eyes were only on her daughter. She watched as walked through the doors, her head held high, her steps confident. "You look well, my child," the queen said. "I feel well, mother," embraced her. The caves were beautiful, would have loved them. The queen's eyes flickered to Ho. There was warmth there now, something that had not existed when they first met. "Our human friend has done more than I could have hoped. I believe I still owe him a reward." Nodded, "He deserves everything we can give." The queen turned to face Ho fully. She was still tall and powerful, still the ruler of 1,000 worlds. But she no longer frightened him. He had seen the person beneath the crown. "Have you decided what you want?" she asked. "I offered you anything, wealth beyond measure, power, lands, ships. Whatever you desire, it is yours." Ho had thought about this for a long time. He had considered the options. He could ask for riches that would let him retire in luxury for the rest of his life. He could ask for a fleet of ships, becoming a wealthy merchant. He could ask for a position in the court, gaining influence and status. But none of those things were what he truly wanted. "I have one request," he said, "but it is not for myself." The queen raised an eyebrow. "Go on." "I want peace," Ho said. "Real peace between humans and not the cold tolerance that exists now, where we trade at arm's length and barely speak. I want our peoples to work together, to share knowledge and culture, to build something better than either of us could build alone." The room fell silent. The advisors looked shocked. Even the guards seemed surprised. No one had expected a simple cargo pilot to ask for something so large. But the queen was smiling. "You ask for peace," she said slowly, "when you could have asked for anything." "Peace is worth more than gold," Ho replied. "I have seen what can happen when two people from different worlds connect. Look at your daughter. Look at how much she has changed because one human shared his stories with her. Imagine what could happen if our entire species did the same." Stepped forward. "Mother, he is right. We have spent too long looking down on other species. Humans are different from us, yes, but different does not mean less. It means we have things to teach each other." The queen was quiet for a long moment. She looked at her daughter, strong and alive, full of hope for the future. She looked at Ho, a small human who had done what her entire empire could not. "I have ruled for 300 years, she said finally. "I have won wars and signed treaties and watched civilizations rise and fall. But today, I have learned something new. I have learned that the smallest person can make the greatest difference, and that the heart of one human can change the heart of an empire." She raised her hand. Her voice echoed through the hall. "Let it be known throughout the stars. From this day forward, the empire seeks true alliance with humanity, not just trade, not just tolerance, partnership, friendship, a new age for both our peoples." The hall erupted in whispers and gasps. Advisors hurried to each other, already discussing what this would mean. But Ho barely noticed. He was looking at who was smiling at him with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "You did not just save me, you changed everything." Ho shook his head. "I did not change anything, I just showed you what was already there. The kindness, the strength, the ability to heal, you had it all along. All of you did, you just needed someone to remind you." The queen descended from her platform and walked to Ho. She was so close that he could see every line on her ancient face, every year of wisdom in her eyes. "You will always be welcome in our empire, Ho of Earth," she said. "And you will always have a place in our family, not as a servant or a guest, but as a friend." Ho bowed his head. "It is an honor I do not deserve." "You deserve more than you know." The queen placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Now go. Return to your ship and your crew. Tell your people what happened here. Tell them that they want peace, real peace. And tell them that it all started because one man sat in the dark with a broken princess and taught her how to hope again." Ho looked at one last time. She was standing tall, bathed in the light of the crystal ceiling above. She was no longer the dying girl he had found in that dark room. She was a princess, a future queen, a friend. "Take care of yourself," he said. "I will, and I will never forget what you did for me, what you did for all of us." Ho turned and walked toward the exit. Behind him, he could hear the sounds of a new era beginning, advisors planning, messages being sent across the stars, history being made. And at the center of it all, a simple truth, that in a galaxy full of wonders, the most powerful force was not weapons or ships or ancient technology. It was the human heart.